All right, so I've got a van full of stuff. I've got a long day ahead of me, and I've got a bunch of random orders that I need to deliver. All I really want to do is just press a button and get this whole thing optimized. Here we go. And my route is planned, all courtesy of Google Maps API. I've got everything that you could ever ask for: total distance, fuel cost, and of course, all my orders in the right order. Simple as that. Hey everybody, how's it going? Alex here, and today we've got advanced route planning or route planning, whichever way you like. Essentially, we've got a bunch of orders, we've got drivers, we've got locations, we've got vehicle, we've got fuel price lists, and yeah, we really want to make this as easy as possible for the admin so that the route for the day can be planned with a single click for every driver. In our typical fashion, we're going to go through, first and foremost, through the design of the database, where I'll explain how things are pieced together. And then we're going to take a look at the automation side of it. And today we're also using Google Maps API, which is quite fun the moment you start to look into it. So yeah, let's get started. Hey guys, just a quick note before we start the video. If you do like the content that I've been producing, please feel free to like and subscribe so I can keep producing more. Thanks. All right, so let's go through the design of the database. It's actually quite straightforward if you think about it. There's a lot of logic going on. So yeah, I'm just going to put myself down here in the corner. Right, so we've got orders. Essentially just list of orders, nothing much more than that. We have an order number that you can input. We've got a client name. We've got delivery addresses. Now, I've lived in the UK for a while and I know the southeast of London quite well, so I randomly put in some of these addresses, and basically the route that was planned, as you've already seen, actually makes sense. So these addresses are random, but I know the area, roughly. Then we've got a link to our delivery run, essentially just a link to the delivery run where we're linking an order or a drop to one particular delivery run. Let's take a look at delivery runs. So, one thing I forgot to mention is the name here. So all I'm really doing is concatenating a bunch of things. Just a hard-coded order hashtag, then the order, variable space pipe space, client name, space pipe space, and just the leftmost part of the delivery address, just the first 20 characters of the delivery address, and then just ... So the end result just looks like this. Simple. Let's now take a look at delivery runs. So now we have a few hidden fields. I'm just going to unhide them so that you have a better understanding of what's going on. So first field is just, again, a concatenation, very typical, the driver name and a formatted version of the start date and time, just basically removing the time from the equation, just the date, month, year. Then we have our trigger. As you've already seen from a bunch of our previous videos, we typically use like a little checkbox for a trigger. Then we have our route planner, a long text field. We're just planning our route, as you've seen. Then we have our start date and time field. Again, just all adjusted to GMT right now. Then we have a link to drivers, because you want to know who the driver is for the day, or for that run rather. Then we have the van that driver is going to be using, van 1, the start location that you want to choose, the end location that you want to choose. In this case, we've got head office. Most delivery runs start here and typically end up, and drivers typically end up just going home straight after the last drop. Then we have both of these fields, just to clarify, are links back to locations, like so. And then we have some lookups. First of all, we have a lookup for the price per liter from fuel type from the van link. Then we have miles per liter from the van, again, miles per liter. We have our link to orders, which we've already discussed. And then we have our location address from start, which is a lookup from start location. And we have the same exact thing, but from the end location. So we're just getting the locations looked up in here. Next, we have drivers, just a very simple table with the driver name, the link delivery run, and the locations. In other words, the driver house, like where the driver lives, basically. Then locations, which is interesting. We have our, I think this needs to be explained. So essentially, if we have a warehouse, it will just say, like the location description, it will use that. But if the type is driver house, it will just say driver house space dash space and then John or whoever the driver is. And of course, all of these contain just location addresses. So this particular name field just consists of a couple of nested ifs. So if type is warehouse, then we're printing the location description. If the type is driver house, we're just saying concatenate the type space dash space driver. I could have done this with a switch expression. I'm only realizing this now, but yeah, nested ifs for you. So yeah, next we have location description, location type, just a single select, link to the drivers, the location address, just a single line text. And yeah, we have a couple of back created links from the delivery runs where you can see the start of location of delivery run for this particular location and when a particular location was used as an end location of a delivery run, and you can see how that is done. Just those links were basically created by Airtable when I was creating the delivery run table. Next we have vehicles. Now vehicle, again, super easy. Van, the fuel type, which is a link to the fuel price list, price per liter, which is a lookup from the price list, from the fuel type basically, and brings you price per liter, the mixed MPG of this van, and the miles per liter, which gives us mixed MPG divided by 3.78, whatever. So that basically gives you the formula for miles per liter. And of course, any link delivery runs, because that's the backward link, right, from the delivery run. Next, and finally, we have our fuel price list, where we have the name of the fuel, either diesel or unleaded. We should include electric here. Then we have price per liter, 1.61, 1.45. Those are roughly the prices right now in the UK. I've checked out online. And then we have our link to vehicles, so that you can basically say, oh, this van is running on unleaded, and that's the price per liter for unleaded. So yeah, that's it in terms of the database design. Let's take a look now at the automation side of things. Okay, so the setup is quite typical to pretty much every single video that we've done so far, I think. Yeah, the way that the automation kicks off, as we know by now, and in fact, you know what, let me just hide some of these lookups. We don't need to see them right now. So yeah, the way that the automation kicks off is through this plan route checkbox. And the automation is as follows. Essentially, we go into automations, create an automation. When a record matches conditions, if plan route is checked, then it runs our very, very typical script that we've grown to love in the last how many videos. Record ID, and then you're just mapping the Airtable record ID over there, and just make sure that you replace this webhook with your webhook. That's it. Finish editing and turn this thing on. Now let's jump into Make to see what in there, where really the magic happens. Let's jump in. We have our webhook here that receives payload. Then we have a get the delivery run. So we're basically getting that delivery run that we've triggered from. Next, we update that delivery run with just a little bit of data for the user. And we're just saying, hey, starting up. And then we're formatting now with an into date, month, year, hour, minute, second, and all in GMT. Then the next step is to iterate through the orders from module number 2. And actually, this is one of the most important things. This is like make or break kind of thing. The next step is we're getting the order itself from the record ID. And finally, the aggregation we only need 3 things from that order. We need the order number, we need the client name, and we also need the delivery address. Very important. Nothing else is selected. So the basic payload kind of looks like this, basically. Makes sense. Next, we are iterating through delivery addresses, and we aggregate them with a pipe symbol. So we're grabbing the 6 array, the array from module number 6, there you go. And we're using the map function, and we're mapping out the delivery addresses. In other words, out of this array of stuff that contains the order number and the client name and the delivery address, we just want to create an array of delivery addresses. And this is what happens here. We have bundle 1, that's the value, bundle 2, that's the value, bundle 3, that's the value. And finally, we want to aggregate them with a pipe symbol as a separator, as a string of addresses separated by the pipe symbol. It ultimately ends up looking like this: address, pipe, another address, there you go, and another pipe, and another address, and goes so on and so forth. Then we set a variable of encoding this little string of text, optimize : true, and then a pipe, and then the text from number 14. And all of this basically gets encoded, and it looks like this, which is, encoding is essentially making a string URL friendly, because you can't have special characters and so forth. So at this point in time, we are also updating the user to saying that, hey, we're about to optimize the route. And yeah, this is where all the fun begins. We are using a make an API call here in Google Maps and the app that Make provides. I think it's this last option over here. And this is how I've set it up. You need to write it out exactly as I've done so far. /directions /JSON ? And then we're going to start passing our variables. So destination, we are encoding essentially I believe our start and end point. So our destination is basically our end address, and we're encoding that. Then we also have an ampersand and then origin. Origin is our start location, and you have to encode that as well. Then ampersand and then waypoints. So in this case, I've fair play. I realized that I've used basically this particular the variable value. I've already inputted that in Google Maps, so I don't really need this right here, so we can make this a little bit shorter. So there you go. We're basically then in the waypoints, we're basically saying that, hey, just print this optimize true, pipe, and the text from module 14, encode all of that stuff, and that's that. The method is get. The headers are what they are. I think they are like this, preset like that, like this. Press OK, and that's it. The result will really give you a lot of stuff. Oh, by the way, minor note about Google Maps. So please follow the instructions as provided by Make. They give you really, really, really detailed instructions as to how to connect Google Maps to Make. I've myself followed all of these instructions and I got it to work. You also have to enable billing to get this thing to work. Essentially, type of optimization that we are doing right now, as of filming this, costs about 1 cent per optimization. Super inexpensive, but there is a cost. So please don't think that this is completely free. Google charges for optimizing routes through the API. Okay, moving on. So yeah, that's that. The payload, as I was saying, comes in, and there's just a ton of information to go through. There's just really a lot of interesting data that Google provides. Then the next step is to iterate through the legs. Yeah, just find the legs. I think that's in routes. Legs, that's that. So iterate through that. And then we have to aggregate our deliveries. And this is what this looks like. This is how I've set this up. Delivery, then the bundle order position from 17. Start with like a little arrow, blue arrow emoji, the start address, the finish, like a little checkered flag emoji with a finish address from 17, the duration text, the distance text, and then this is probably the most complicated thing about the whole setup, I would say. It's how to get the order number and the client to show up. So all you really need to know is this. It starts from this get. I would break it down in this way. I mean, you can of course just copy what I've done here and that is all going to be awesome. But for those of you that want to understand what's going on, essentially Google gives you a waypoint order. So you are giving it a bunch of waypoints and they come in a certain order, which is this order literally. So this is our first waypoint, second waypoint, third waypoint, and so forth. Then telling you is that, hey, I'm optimized your waypoints, and the correct order is this, and you can find it in this little array called waypoint order. The first address that you need to go is the fourth. Second address that you need to go is the fifth address. Third address that you need to go is the third address from your list. The fourth is the second, and so forth. What we really need to do is then to jump in here into deliveries and tell Make to fetch the right thing from that array, from array number 6. Remember I told you it was really important? From this array number 6, right? So what are we doing? We're basically mapping out this array, map array, get all the orders basically from that array. Then we do a big get. Get relies on, okay, which item, the first, the third, the fifth, the sixth, which item out of that array do you want me to bring you? So we're doing this get, and the get is essentially a sum of the number 1 plus the get of the waypoint order based on the order position. Hopefully that makes sense. Ultimately, it produces the correct order number for that particular delivery number. Feel free to follow this to the letter. The next thing is, of course, clients. Literally, I copy pasted this particular expression, and all I had to change is this particular thing, client name instead of order number. Then finally, we have just a break of a line break. Then we have some dashes, and then we have another line break. And that is it in terms of my text aggregator. That was the most difficult part, I think. The next thing we have is, again, we're iterating through the legs, and we calculate the distance value. We just sum up the distance, and it gives you the distance in, I believe, meters. Then what we're doing, we're converting the meters to miles and rounding as you should. Next, we have the fuel cost, which again, it's this particular conversion from meter to mile divided by miles per liter from van from module number 2 times then the price per liter. And we finally do a format number on this whole thing because we want it to look pretty like so, 8.23. Finally, we get another iterator of the legs. This has to do with the duration in seconds, value, and we're just printing that there. This gives you the amount of seconds of duration for the whole trip. And pièce de résistance is the last update of our route planner. Looks very easy, and it is very easy. We go here and we go start time, just basically a start time, then the end time formatted. Essentially, this is what I'm doing is that I'm taking the start and end time from my delivery route, and I'm adding the amount of seconds from the total duration from this module number 25, and I'm using add seconds, the function from Make. So essentially, I'm really just creating the end time by adding the amount of seconds to the start time and formatting the date so that it looks pretty. Finally, we have the total distance, which is the meter to mile, a module number 26, and just adding a space miles, and then fuel cost, just a pound sign, and then the fuel cost. Then I'm just adding a little line break, some dashes, another line break, and then just all the text from module number 18. That's it. Literally, there's nothing else to this. So let's run this one more time. I'm gonna keep this running. Let's trigger this one more time. Plan route, And you can see how this is going to trigger now. It's going to go right into optimizing the route. It created all the strings for us and finally has added all of this data to our text field. Naturally, what you could do from this particular point onward is, of course, push this to a mobile app for the driver, or print this on a piece of paper, maybe using document or something like that. These are some ideas that I have for this. Let me know in the comments if you want me to explore any of these more than any others. And yeah, that's basically it for the day. That's the end. Thank you so much for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.